Okay, Bible and Daily Lifers, we are going through the whole Bible in a year. We're in the book of Joshua. Joshua is the first of 12 historical books of the Old Testament, so it goes in order. Last time I said I didn't say them in order, but let's do them in order. It goes Joshua and Judges, Ruth, 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel. It goes 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther. These are the historical books. So the first 5 books are what we call the law of Moses, the Pentateuch, the Torah. 5 books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and now the historical books. In the first one of these historical books that go all the way from about 1300 something BC, all the way up to about 300 BC, 400 BC, the 400 silent years. So quite a bit of history being covered here, 1,000 years or so, somewhere thereabouts. And so this is Joshua. And Joshua, his family, we don't know much about his family. We know that his father his name was Nun, N-U-N, not Nun, N-O-N-E, but Joshua, the son of Nun. And who was he? He was a scrappy guy. He was scrappy in his faith. He believed God. Joshua, the son of Nun, he goes into the land and he looks around and he says, we can take this, and nobody else quite believes that. And he becomes a sort of right-hand man to Moses. And when Moses dies, Moses turns the leadership over to Joshua, this guy with a lot of faith. And so he's this Old Testament biblical leader, succeeds Moses, and he's going to lead them into the promised land after they've come out of Egypt. And he's called by God to do this. He's set apart by Moses, but called of God. So we're going to read the first chapter. Now, the book itself is divided up into probably 3 sections. I suppose you could divide it up a different way, but it's divided up into 3 sections. And verses or chapters 1 through 12 is going to be the conquest, when they go into the land. Joshua getting everybody together, working things out, putting the troops where the troops need to be, the tribes where the tribes need to be, and they're going to go in there and they're going to take the land. Well, once they take the land, then the land is going to be divided up among the various tribes of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel. And then the last couple of chapters will be Joshua just sort of summing up what happened during his time in going in there and bringing the people in there. There's a few verses here, we're going to read them in chapter 1, that are relatively well known about Joshua, and a lot of people quote these verses. So we're just going to jump in Joshua. So keep in mind, first of the historical books, they have come out of Egypt. They are now going into the land. Joshua is the one who's leading them into the land. So after the death of Moses, Joshua chapter 1, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, son of Nun. So the Lord calls him. Now Moses is, appointing him as well, but he's called by God. And he said, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now then, you and all these people get ready to cross the Jordan River into the land that I am about to give them, to the Israelites. I will give you every place that you set your foot, as I promised to Moses. Wherever you go, you'll have it. Your territory will extend from the desert of Lebanon and from the great river, the Euphrates, and all of the Hittite country to the Mediterranean Sea in the west. No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. Now, that's a lot of territory, and it's territory that really they've never really conquered and kept, going all the way up there to the Euphrates River, which would be in modern-day Iraq. No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. I will never leave you or forsake you. Wow, that's a great promise that God will never leave them. He'll never forsake them. Jesus, the same thing, right? Jesus will never leave us. He will never forsake us. God will be with Joshua. God will be with his people. Now he says, this is God speaking, Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their ancestors to give them. Now, this is quite a while ago that he swore this to their ancestors. It's going all the way back to Abraham's day. And keep in mind that they were 400 years in bondage in Egypt. They were 40 years roaming around in the desert. So this is quite some time ago that God has given this promise, but God keeps his promise even if it's 5 centuries later. Chapter 1, verse 7. Be strong and courageous, period. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from the right and do not turn to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. So be strong, giving him the encouragement, keep going, persevere. This is going to happen. God has made the promise. God don't make promises he don't keep. And you're to obey the law. You see, keep this as the rule of your life and the rule of community life. Keep the book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you'll be prosperous and you'll be successful. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid. Don't be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Nice promises. Joshua's going to take them into the land 40 years later, 40 years after they've come out of Egypt. They're finally going in. And it's only a 2-week journey, and they journeyed around for 40 years. Verse 10. So Joshua ordered the officers of the people. He said, go through the camp and tell everybody, get ready. Get the provisions ready. 3 days from now, you're going to cross the Jordan and you're going to go in and take possession of the land the Lord is giving you. They're going to cross the Jordan. They're going to go into the land. They're going to go where they are camped there in Moab. They're going to go across the river and they are going to go into the land of Israel. But to the Reubenites, the Gadites, the half-tribe of Manasseh, Joshua said, remember the command that Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you. And he said, the Lord your God will give you rest by giving you this land. Your wives, your children, your livestock may stay in the land that Moses gave you to the east of Jordan. But all of your fighting men ready for battle must cross ahead over your fellow Israelites. You are to help them until the Lord gives them rest, as he has done for you, and until they have taken possession of the land the Lord your God is giving you. And so they were to help each other, they were to have their settlements. After that, you may go back and occupy the land, which your own land, which Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave to you on the east side of the Jordan towards the sunrise. And they answered Joshua. They said, whatever you commanded us we'll do, and wherever you send us we'll go. Joshua's a man of faith, and they're trusting him, and they're believing him. They didn't believe him before, but they believe him now. Things change. Just as we fully obeyed Moses, we'll fully obey you. Oh. Same way we obeyed Moses, we'll obey you. So will he be in trouble or will he not be in trouble? They didn't obey Moses quite all that good. It says, we obeyed Moses, we'll obey you. Only may the Lord your God be with you as he was with Moses. We hope that God is with you. May the Lord bless you and be on you. Whoever rebels against your word and doesn't obey it, whatever you may command, will be put to death. Only be strong and courageous. All right. So Joshua, the son of Nun, secretly sent 2 spies go into the land, especially Jericho, and they go there and they look around. They look around what's going on, and they find this house, this home of this lady named Rahab. She's apparently a harlot, apparently a prostitute. And she shows them hospitality. And they're in the land, and they know that they're in the land, and she helps them, and she protects them, and she drops this scarlet thread down when they're coming into the land. They said, have you put this scarlet thread hanging out of your window, that when we come into the land to conquer it, we will avoid you. You see, the scarlet thread, she put that out by faith. And there's teaching that we'll be hitting on this as we go through the scriptures, the scarlet thread of redemption. This lady took this scarlet thread, hung it out her window by faith, and because she hung the scarlet window out of her window by faith, she was spared the judgment when the judgment came, when it fell. And so there's another picture of Jesus, isn't it, through the whole Bible, the scarlet thread of redemption, that when they see the red thread, when they see that scarlet scarlet, the blood, when they see that, her and her whole family will be saved. So here we're going into Joshua. We're starting to take the land, and so we're going to look at the conquest of the land. We're going to look at the division of the land, and then we're going to look at Joshua's last words to the people, which are very, very interesting and very, very good for us. So let's continue on, and hopefully we're getting the whole thing as we're going by at 230 miles an hour on the bullet train. So bless you guys. Let's continue in the book of Joshua and in the historical books of the Old Testament. Hey, bless you.